Here's everything you need to know about the 2025 Atlanta Braves. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today, a special offseason recap episode. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, a credentialed member of the media covering the Atlanta Braves through my outlet, Braves Today, which is both a podcast and a newsletter. The podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. The newsletter is available at bravestoday.com. And I understand that not every single person has the ability to stay super hyper engaged all winter with every single decision and thing that the team does. So I wanted to take about 30 minutes and tell you everything you need to know about what happened to the Braves over the offseason and what the team is going to look like in 2025. Whether it's changes to the pitching staff, whether it's notable absences of some of the team's biggest stars, and changing of the guard at different positions where they brought players in, let players leave in free agency and things like that. So the first thing that I want to kind of cover is the injury status of superstars that will not be on the team on opening day. Ronald Acuña Jr. and Spencer Strider. Let's start with Ronald Acuña Jr. Coming off of the 2023 MVP season, he tore his ACL in May in a game against the Pittsburgh Pirates while running the bases. This is the different knee from when he tore his ACL in 2021. That one, he was playing the outfield against the Marlins and went up to make a catch at the wall, and he tore it. This one, he was on the base paths, and he was trying to plant his foot and run back to second base. He missed the entire rest of the season, and Ronald will not be on the opening day roster, so you're not going to see him on opening day. The good news is that he's been doing almost everything that you need to do to get back into games, except for actually playing in games. He's been doing different sprinting drills at Brave Spring Training. He's been working in outfield drills. He has been shagging fly balls in batting practice. He has been hitting not only live batting practice, but he's been actually going to the minor league backfields and serving as the designated hitter in minor league games in Brave Spring Training. Now, he's not yet running the bases in those games, right? He'll hit the ball and then he's done. He's not allowed to run the bases yet. But he's doing almost every component that you have to do to return to baseball. He just hasn't done them all at the same time, right? He's done sprints, he's hit, but he's never hit and then sprinted to first base, right? He's done outfield drills, he's shagged fly balls, but he's never lined up in the outfield and gone to catch a fly ball in a game. So the timeline for Ronald's return is expected to be in early May. Earlier in the offseason, I actually had heard from some people close to Ronald that his personal goal is to return on May 2nd. It's a Friday. It's the start of a home series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And his personal stated goal is to be back in the lineup by that day. Now, we don't know if that's actually going to happen. The medical staff obviously has to sign off on this. He has to be fully ready to go. But that is his personal goal. And the reason the team is taking this a little bit slower than his return in 2022 is because the team, one, believes that he came back too quickly, and two, because of that, he had to change what he was doing in that 2022 season. He ended up spending some time at designated hitter. He was having issues with his surgically repaired knee after the ACL surgery. He had fluid buildup. He had to take days off. He had to spend time at DH versus play in the field. And he wasn't the same player until the 2023 season. Now, obviously, in 2023, he won an MVP. So there's a significant difference between who he was in 2022 and who he was in 2023. And so because of that, the Atlanta Braves are trying to take their time with this and give him more time before he comes back. If he returns in May, it will be later in this season that he returned than when he returned from the previous injury, despite this one happening a month and a half earlier in the season than the last one did. But the goal from the Atlanta Braves is for when Ronald comes back, for him to be able to play in the outfield every single day and be a lot closer to the 2023 version of Ronald Acuña Jr. than the 2022 version. Now, he's going to play a little bit differently. He has already said, and in English, by the way, he's doing his interviews in English now. It's a good bit of development for him. He has said that he's going to try to not run as much. You'll remember he stole 73 bases in that MVP season. His goal is to be more selective, picking and choosing his spots, because being incredibly aggressive on the base paths, you could argue, is what got him hurt in 2024, as well as this growing understanding across baseball of how costly it is when you get caught stealing. You have to steal multiple bases to add the same amount of value that you lose when you're caught stealing one time. And so the hope is, rather than going, say, 73 for 91, that he can go 30 for 32, right? Be more efficient. You're not stealing the same volume, but you're not getting thrown out nearly as much. So when Ronald comes back, which again, he's targeting early May, he's going to look a little bit different on the base paths, but the goal is for it, other than that, to be the same Ronald Acuña Jr. that we know and love. The other guy that's going to come back, and earlier than Ronald Acuña Jr., is Spencer Strider. You may remember he made 2 starts last year before he went down with an elbow issue and he had to have season-ending surgery. Now, just to clarify, this was not Tommy John surgery. Tommy John surgery is done to repair a torn ligament in your elbow. It's called the UCL. Spencer's UCL was not torn. He did tear it in college. He had Tommy John surgery after college. Tommy John surgery is typically a 15 to 18 month rehab. Spencer Strider had a different surgery called an internal brace surgery. Because his UCL was not torn, it was just a little unstable because he had a bone spur in the joint. They literally, what it sounds like, they put in a suture-like internal brace to his elbow that not only stabilized the joint, but after they cleaned the bone spur out, provided enough support for the UCL to heal. And then going forward, it is an extra bit of reinforcement for the elbow to help take on some of the forces of pitching. It's a newer surgery, so a lot less guys have had that than have had Tommy John. But from all the reports that we have gotten, one, internal brace surgery is a faster return than Tommy John. It's 9 to 12 months versus 15 to 18. Conveniently, Spencer Strider is coming up on 12 months from the surgery. He had it last April. This is the end of March. So he is coming up on the later end of that time frame. We have seen him pitch in spring. He's made 2 starts in spring. He's looked very good. The first one was almost perfect. The second one he allowed, I think it was a base hit and a home run. But other than that, was also very good. And he will not start the season on the opening day roster. Spencer Strider is going to start the year making rehab starts, probably with the Gwinnett Stripers. But he's expected to come back, while we don't have an official timeline, he's expected to come back sometime in mid-April. So he's not going to miss too much of the season. He'll miss a couple weeks. And then obviously we're going to have questions about, since he essentially did not have a season last year, how many innings can he realistically throw? Is he going to be able to make a full slate of starts? Will they need to skip him? What will he look like? But from everything we've seen in spring, he has looked very good. So he should not be out that much time. And when he comes back, he's going to be a familiar face for a rotation that has had a lot of change. We'll break that down next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. My name's Lindsey Crosby. Kind of going through the offseason for the Atlanta Braves, what you may have missed, and just kind of catching you up on the status of the roster as we approach opening day. And I mentioned Spencer Strider should be back sometime in mid-April. We don't have an official date, but based on the fact he's already pitched in a few spring training games, it seems reasonable to expect sometime in mid to maybe late April, depending on if he starts at home or on the road. But the rotation is going to look different because we saw some notable absences. Players leave this offseason out of the rotation, and they've been replaced by new guys. So, two of the notable absences, Max Fried and Charlie Morton. Let's go with Max Fried first. Everybody knows Max Fried, lefty pitcher, great curveball, one of the stars of that World Series run in 2021, pitched the game, like the World Series, the championship clinching game, had that moment early where he was stomped on at first base, and everybody thought he was in trouble, and he just came out and dominated after that. Max Fried went to free agency this year, and unfortunately did not return to Atlanta. Max Fried signed an 8-year, $218 million deal with the New York Yankees. It is the largest contract ever issued to a left-handed pitcher. It's the fourth largest contract to any pitcher. He has a full no-trade clause, so for 8 years they can't move him unless he agrees to go to that new team, and there's no deferred money, meaning that he doesn't get a lower salary in any season and then get money after he retires. He gets the full value of every season, every year. It's an average value of $27.25 million. And that's notable because the Atlanta Braves, since 2017 under Alex Anthopoulos, the president of baseball operations, there's two reasons why I think the contract is notable and kind of explain why Atlanta wasn't able to re-sign Max Fried. The first one is that dollar amount, okay? $218 million, and again, an annual average value of $27.25 million. No player since Alex Anthopoulos got here in 2017 has signed a multi-year deal for over $22 million per year. Not a single one. Austin Riley's not making more than that. Matt Olson's not making more than that. Spencer Strider won't make more than that. Literally nobody on this roster at any point in time in their long-term deals will make more than $22 million a year. Again, Max Fried is making $27.25 million. The other side of this is only one pitcher under Alex Anthopoulos has signed a deal for more than 3 years, and that was Spencer Strider. And Spencer Strider's deal was notable. It was a 6-year deal, but it was signed when he was like 23, right? When you factor in the club options and everything, it takes him through like age 30. Max Fried was 30 years old when he signed that contract. So a combination of those two factors, the amount he's getting paid per year, plus how long that contract was into his 30s, when a lot of baseball players, not all of them, but a lot of baseball players suffered declines and increased risk of injury. So that is why Atlanta was not able to re-sign Max Fried. The other player that has left is Charlie Morton. He was one of the oldest players on the team. I want to say Charlie Morton was 41. He was 40 last year for Atlanta. He made 30 starts, 165 innings, had an ERA of 4.19. It was good, not great, but good performance. He's made $20 million in just about every season he's been with Atlanta, but Atlanta did not re-sign him this offseason. He ended up going to Baltimore. He did not retire. So for his age 41 year, he will make $15 million with the Baltimore Orioles. And that's a lot of innings and starts to lose out of your rotation. Charlie Morton made 30 starts. Max Fried made 29. Together, they pitched 339 and 2/3 innings. But Atlanta's confident that they can replace those innings with guys that were already on the team. They tried, but they did not sign a starter from outside the organization who was going to be on the opening day roster. On opening day, you will have Chris Sale, the tall lefty who won the Cy Young last year. He has been announced as the opening day starter, so we'll see him start against the Padres on the 27th in San Diego. You will have Ronaldo Lopez, who they signed last offseason and converted him from a reliever into starting. It went so well that they gave him a new contract this offseason that added an extra year and then added a club option after that. He's only 30 years old. He's in the prime of his career. While he only threw 135 innings last year, the expectation this year is that he should be able to give you similar to what Charlie Morton did with 165 or so. They have Spencer Schwellenbach, who was the young breakout star of the 2024 season for the Atlanta Braves. They called him up straight from Double-A. He was a college shortstop at Nebraska, who also was their closer. Atlanta drafted him, turned him into a starting pitcher. They called him up last year. He ended up making 21 starts in Atlanta and finished with a 3.35 ERA. But his first couple starts were a little rocky because he came from Double-A straight to the majors. When you start counting from his sixth start through the end of the year, he had performance better than Max Fried's. He had an ERA under 3 in all of those starts. And so a lot of people are expecting really big things from Spencer Schwellenbach this year. Those are your top 3 starters. Those are the 3 guys as of right now. If you started a playoff game this week, those are the 3 pitchers you would start in your playoff series. The other guys in the rotation on opening day are Grant Holmes and AJ Smith-Shawver. You may remember Grant Holmes from last year. He was the guy that was both a reliever and a starter. He had the curly, long hair. Atlanta has converted him to a full-time starting pitcher. He's looked really good in spring as well. He's pitched about 15 innings or so. His ERA has been under 2. He's allowed 3 earned runs in 15 1/3 innings with 12 strikeouts. He's added a new pitch. He's done a lot of work in the offseason to handle starting for a full year. He threw 68 1/3 innings in Atlanta last year, but the expectation is that he's going to be able to do something like Ronaldo Lopez did last year, where he can throw 130 or 140 innings. So a lot of people are really excited about what Grant Holmes can do. And then just over the weekend, they confirmed that prospect AJ Smith-Shawver has made the team as the number 5 starter. They confirmed that by trading away postseason hero Ian Anderson to the Los Angeles Angels. Ian Anderson had 20 walks in 20 innings this spring as he tried to come back from Tommy John surgery that took away a good part of his 2023 season. And AJ Smith-Shawver is the guy that they're going to stick into the rotation on opening day. He is, in his career, he's made 6 starts in the majors, 7 appearances, ERA of just over 3.5. What you need to know about him is he's just now 22 years old. They called him up at age 20. He didn't pitch a lot in high school because he was a football player as well. He actually went to the same school as Royals shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. They're good friends. And AJ Smith-Shawver came up in 2023, pitched pretty decently for a 20-year-old. He came up again last year. He actually had a scoreless start in the regular season against the Cubs, but he strained an oblique, and he missed 2 months of the season. He went back to Gwinnett when he was off the injured list, and then they tapped him to start in the postseason because They didn't have anybody else. Chris Sale's back. He was having back spasms. He couldn't start. And they used just about everybody else to get to the postseason. They pitched Ronaldo Lopez. They pitched Max Fried. They pitched Spencer Schwellenbach. They pitched Grant Holmes in game 162. So AJ Smith-Shawver got the postseason start. He is now going to be on the opening day roster. He is incredibly athletic. He's incredibly young. There will be some growing pains for AJ Smith-Shawver, but he's very promising, and I'm expecting big things from him this year. That's your 5 starters. Again, Spencer Strider is expected back at some point in time, probably mid-April. So that'll give you 6. And then in AAA Gwinnett, you still have Bryce Elder, who was an all-star in 2023, but struggled down the stretch and then didn't look that good in limited looks last year. He's added some more velocity. There's thoughts that he can miss more bats. We'll see what happens, but he's another starter you have in AAA in case you need more guys. And then there's a lot of prospects who could come up as well. So a lot of changes in the pitching staff, but it's still a group the Braves believe in. They believe that 4 or 5 of these guys could all start postseason games and leave Atlanta in a position to potentially win. And that's some of the best top-end pitching depth, in the organization's opinion, that they've had since the mid-90s in the days of the Big Three. I'm not saying these guys are as good as the Big Three, but the Braves believe that this is the best depth they've had for postseason starters since the days of Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine. Okay? Now, there's a lot of changes about who those guys are going to be throwing to, and we'll get to that next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today and our offseason recap special. I want to kind of go over the catching group because there's a lot of changes here as well, and not all of them were very well received. One of the surprising decisions early in the offseason was for the Atlanta Braves to let catcher Travis d'Arnaud leave in free agency. He's been one half of the catching tandem. I'm not going to say he was a backup because he really started just as many games as Sean Murphy did. But he was one of the 2 main catchers for the team the last couple seasons. He caught every game in the 21 postseason, won a World Series with the team, did all of that. He had a club option on to bring him back for 2025. That right after the season was over, Atlanta said they were probably going to pick up. And then because of some different injury issues and things like that that came up between when they talked to the media, to us, right after the season ended, to after the World Series, they ended up declining his club option. I want to say it was $8 million for the 2025 season. He promptly turned around and signed a 2-year deal for, I believe, $12 million with the Los Angeles Angels. So he's joining Ron Washington, former Braves third base coach, who's in his 2nd year as manager of the Angels. He's joining Ron Washington. Catching coach Sal Fasano left the organization. He ended up going to the Angels as well. So Travis d'Arnaud went over there. And the thought process the Braves had was, we are going to play Sean Murphy almost every day. He's not going to catch every single game. No catcher in baseball can catch every single game. Catcher is by far the most demanding physical position on the field. And especially in the Georgia Heat, there's no way you could catch every game. But the thought process is, Sean Murphy's going to catch 4 or 5 games in a row, and then back up Chadwick Tromp, who has been the 3rd catcher. He spent part of the year in Gwinnett last year. He spent part of the year in Atlanta while Sean Murphy was injured with an oblique injury last year. He can catch the 6th game, and then Murphy's back for 4 or 5 more games. Well, earlier in spring, Sean Murphy took a fastball to the ribs. It was a reliever from the Marlins. It wasn't on purpose, so nobody was mad about it. But he took a fastball to the ribs. He is going to be out. He has started baseball activities again, but he's going to miss a couple weeks of the regular season. And remember, Travis d'Arnaud is not here. So Chadwick Tromp is on the roster. And then the Braves are promoting top prospect Drake Baldwin. He's a minor leaguer for the Braves. They drafted him back in 2022 in the third round out of Missouri State University. He's from Wisconsin. He's a former hockey player. He was a hockey player in his youth. And he's gotten to the point where he is not only the top hitting prospect in the Braves farm system, but a lot of outlets this spring called him the best prospect in Atlanta's entire farm system, who should have pretty decent power and has pretty good plate discipline. It's going to be an adjustment period for him, right? He's still, even in AAA, he was prone to hitting the ball on the ground a little too much. But everybody in Braves camp, the pitchers have all thrown to him. Everybody's had really good things to say about how hard he's worked to get better on defense, about the potential, the offensive potential in his bat. He has a lot of similarities to early career Brian McCann, right? The bat is thought to be really good. There's some good power in there, but he had to really work on the defense to get it to the point where you can trust him 3 or 4 straight games behind the plate. Now, we don't know how long Drake Baldwin is going to be up at the major league level. It could be something, if he struggles, then when Sean Murphy comes back, Drake Baldwin probably goes back to AAA. If Drake Baldwin's fantastic, he probably sticks around and they find a way to get him into games, right? Whether they use him at DH occasionally and give Marcell Ozuna a day off, do a more even timeshare between Baldwin and Sean Murphy. So we'll see what happens. Think of this like an evaluation period. We're going to have a couple weeks to evaluate how good Drake Baldwin is and figure out, should he stay up or should he go back to AAA, where he'll get to play he'll get to catch 4 or 5 games a week, which is the biggest thing for a young catcher to do to get experience. So it's an evaluation period there. And then there are some other players in the organization. The Braves have added both to the major league level and to the minor league level. The player you need to know about that you'll see on opening day, he's probably going to be your leadoff hitter, while Ronald Acuña Jr. is still in the injured list, is Jurickson Profar. He's 31 years old. He's from Curacao, the same as Ozzie Albies, the same as Andrew Jones before them. And it's funny because the Atlanta Braves have, I want to say it's over half of all professional players out of Curacao have played for the Atlanta Braves at some point in time in their careers. And it's all because of Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones had the legacy of being from Curacao that makes these players want to play for the Braves. But he's going to be the left field starter. He signed in late January for 3 years and $42 million. So it's a $12 million salary this year and $15 million in each of the previous 2. He's a former top prospect. He was a shortstop. He is now solidly an outfielder. He's not expected to play any infield for Atlanta. He hit .280 for the San Diego Padres last year with a .380 on base. Career high in home runs with 24, in runs scored with 94, and RBIs with 85. He was the starter in left field for the All-Star game, first All-Star team of his career. He won a Silver Slugger Award in left field after the season. It's a very good addition for the Atlanta Braves, and it gives them, when Ronald's back, it gives them 3 everyday starters that you should not be rotating through, with Jurickson Profar, Michael Harris in center, and Ronald Acuña in right. They've also added some players on minor league deals that you may see come up at some point in time in the season. Catcher James McCann, no relation to Brian McCann, but catcher James McCann, he's a major league veteran. He's in Gwinnett getting ready. He's another option for a veteran backup to replace Tromp or to replace Baldwin if Murphy has a setback or they need another catcher. They also signed outfielder Alex Verdugo. He's played for the Dodgers. He's played for the Red Sox. He's played for the Yankees. He'll be in AAA Gwinnett as well. And they brought back former Braves closer Craig Kimbrell. A lot of people are really excited about Craig Kimbrell coming back. He's one of the most accomplished closers active in baseball right now as far as saves and all of that goes. His season last year ended on a bit of a sour note. He was not that good after the All-Star break for the Baltimore Orioles, and they actually cut him before the season ended. So he's in AAA Gwinnett, and if he gets back to not his early career form, because that was one of the most dominant relievers in baseball history, but if he gets back to even early last season or his 2023 form, Atlanta's going to call him up and put him into their major league bullpen. He won't be the closer. Raisel Iglesias is still the closer, but he will be a useful piece in the bullpen. So it's going to be really fun to hear his familiar music and to see him back in Truist Park with the Atlanta Braves. So the season opens on Thursday. You're going to see all the guys you're used to seeing. Austin Riley is still in there. Matt Olson is still in there. Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies. All those guys are there. Everybody's recovered from any sort of injuries that they had last year, because a lot of those guys missed time with injuries outside of Matt Olson. All those guys are healthy. You're going to see them again. The season starts on Thursday. Chris Sale is on the mound versus the San Diego Padres. If this has been useful for you, right, do me a favor, send this show to another Braves fan that you know that hasn't necessarily kept up with all of the news over the offseason, but wants to catch back up before the season starts. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you want to know anything about the team, I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. The show is on X at Braves_today. You can even email us, contact@bravestoday.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Go Braves. And this has been Braves Today.